Who's ready to blow their credit score up? 50 points, 75 points, 100 points, even 200 points with no credit check? And I know the answer is yes. So with that being said, you already know what time it is. Let's get right into it. What's up, family? I'm back with another one. Hey, if you're new to the channel, welcome to the family. So in today's class, we're going to be talking about how to get that 20, 40, 60, 80, 90, 100 points, even 200 point jump, how to see your credit score take off significantly, right? We're going to be talking all about that. So with that being said, go grab a pen, go get some paper, and you know what you got to do. Hey, we're just going to get some apple juice today because hey, this is going to be a good one. Wait, before we get into today's lesson, hey, I'm gonna do a recap on yesterday's lesson. So we should have our credit report. We should understand what's holding our credit score back, right? We should see all the collections, the charge-off, the evictions, the bankruptcies, the inquiries, all the negative accounts that's holding our credit score back. But we're not gonna focus on the negative, we're gonna focus on the positive. Basically, how to properly build your credit profile up so you can get that 20, 40, 50, 75, 80, 100 point increase, 200 point increase, right? So let's get into the lesson. Hey, welcome to today's lesson. So here's the game plan, right? Here's the game plan on how you're gonna improve your credit score. 20 points, 30, 50, 60, 80, 90, 100 points, 200 points, right? Here's the game plan. What you want to do is make sure you have a solid foundation. And remember what I told you before, understanding the FICO score, understanding what you got to do to improve in each area of your credit score. So basically what I'm going to do is give you a lot of accounts that you can go ahead and start applying for that does no credit check, that's going to help you improve your credit. Now, I don't know what's on your credit report, so you got to understand what accounts do you need. Do you need revolving accounts? Do you need installment accounts? What type of accounts you need to start adding on your credit report to see the significant increase, right? However, if you have no credit, you need to start adding. If you don't have no installment accounts, you need some installment accounts. If you don't have no revolving accounts, you definitely need a revolving account because you're missing out on 165 points, right? If you don't have no revolving accounts, you're going to see a significant increase. So the game plan is understanding each part, right? I broke down the FICO score. Now I'm going to break down the game plan to what you got to do to increase your credit score. So first and most importantly, the first major factor of your credit score is payment history, right? So depending on what's going on in your payment history, depending on what you got to do. So payment history, you need to get this to 100%, right? So like I said, we're not focusing on the negative because I'm going to talk about that in later videos on how to remove late payments, how to clean that up and all the things like that. But we got to get the payment history at 100%, right? So if you have some late payments, you need to get caught up. You need to talk to the bank. I'm gonna talk about that in another video. But most importantly, you need to make sure you're paying everything on time. Now that's just 35% of your score. Paying on time that's just 35% of your score. So we gotta focus on the other 65% of our score, right? So credit utilization, right? So this is what we can also control right here. Now I'm gonna talk about different revolving accounts you can add on your credit report to improve that area. So utilization is 30% of your score. So what you want to do is make sure you get this to 0% as quick as possible. Do what you got to do to get it to 0%, right? So if you have maxed out credit card, or if you don't, all right, so let's talk about if you have maxed out credit cards, right? So what you want to do is, of course, pay this down. Once you pay this down, you're going to see your credit score increase like 50 points, 20 points, 30, 45, 100. All depends on what you have going on. I can't basically tell you what's going to happen because I don't know the algorithm, right, when it comes to the FICO score. But what I can tell you is once you start paying down your credit card, you're going to see a significant increase. Now, if you don't have no credit, let's talk about some accounts you can add on your credit report that's going to help that part of your credit score, right? And that's going to basically impact everything else. So self-lender, which then it's an installment account, which then turns into a secured credit card, right? That's one account you can add. Grain is another place. I'm gonna make a list and I'm gonna put it in the description. So Grain, Self, Tomo credit card, Open Sky, Sable One. I'm gonna put all the revolving accounts. That's just off the top of my head of the different type of accounts you can add on your credit report. So that is what you need to add to get revolving accounts, right? So, and they do no credit check as well. So just add those revolving accounts first if you don't have none. Now, if you only have one, you want to add like 2 or 3. You want to get some more because you want to get a solid foundation. When a lender's looking at your credit report and they see that you have 3 or 4 or 5 revolving accounts, they see this person can manage credit, as well as the different other type of accounts you have. So add that to your credit report, right? Now, we're not focusing on the negative, right? We're not focusing on derogatory accounts. We did that yesterday. So the next thing you want to do is credit age. To hack this part of your credit score, which is 15%, right, is by adding rent reporters, rental karma, credit my rent, boom pay. This can help this part, because what you can do is, let's say you stay in that apartment for the last 2 years, you can backdate all that rental history and add it to your credit report. Yes, you can add all that backdated history and add it to your credit report. All that good payments that you've been paying on time with your apartment, you can add that onto your credit report. Even if you're living with somebody, they can do that as well, right? You can get your rent reported to your credit report and help that part. Of course, it might mess up your DTI a little bit, but a lender knows what you got going on. So they see that you're paying rent and you're making more money than, of course, that you're paying. It only makes sense that they're gonna lend you money. So don't get too focused on the DTI. Get focused on building your credit profile up, because you can stop that rent reporters or rent payments at any time. So let's build up our credit profile up first. Now, by adding 2 years, 3 years, some places even do 4 years of like history. Now, payment history, they only do up to 2 years. So by adding those 3 or 4 accounts will help this part of your credit age. Now, if you want to get this up to at least 1 year, right? 1 year, right? 2 years, I mean, the more years, the better of average age. But I understand, because we just started, but to get 2 years history from, or 3 years or 4 years history from adding rent report or adding our rental payment history is also a good plus. Now, we can of course get an authorized user. However, we know that if we pay for it, it's going to stop. However, it's still going to be on our credit report, but it's still not going to reflect on like the payment history, the credit card, the utilization, all that part, right? So if you have a family member, of course, you can get added to as an authorized user. Just make sure that their utilization is at below 10%. Make sure they never miss a payment, and make sure they're good with credit, because we don't want that negative or whatever they did or whatever happened get added to our credit report. So that's the credit hack for credit or average age, right? So total accounts. Now, we talked about this. Now, that's total accounts is 10% of your score. So having revolving accounts is good, and having installment accounts is good. So you want to have a mixture of both. Now, installment accounts are car loan, personal loans, student loan, like rent reporters, rental karma. Those are all credit strong. Those are all different type of installment accounts you want to have, right? So credit strong, rent reporters, rental karma, boom pay, all those are different type of installment accounts you want to add in your credit report. I already talked about revolving accounts earlier, so you want to have a mixture of both. So just make sure you have installment accounts and make sure you have some revolving accounts. This is going to help improve this part of your credit score, right? Now, the last part is hard inquiries / new accounts, right? So right here, FICO score. Look at this, right? So hard inquiries / new credit, right? So when you're adding these new credit to your credit score, yes, it's going to hurt your credit age, but yes, it's going to improve the other part. Now, I know it's going to drop your credit score. It might drop a little bit, right? Because you're adding a lot of new accounts, but you got to look at the long term of what you're doing, right? By adding these new accounts and basically let it age, let it build, add these payment histories, and continue building up your credit profile. The more accounts you have in your credit profile, the better. And the reason why is, think about it as a bank trying to approve you for credit, right? So if you was the bank and you saw person A has, let's say, 50 accounts on their credit report, right? They all on time, everything's good, and they're looking, very good to get approved. And you have person B only have 6 or 7 accounts. Who are you going to approve, right? You're going to approve person A because they have 50 accounts. They had they have everything on time. They have good utilization. They never missed a payment. They don't have too many hard inquiries. They got their age. They got everything, right? So that's what you got to think about, right? So what you want to do is, the more accounts you have in your credit profile, I don't know who, y'all got to stop listening to people. The more accounts you have in your credit profile, the better, right? Because as you continue adding and adding and adding and adding, like if you have 100 accounts, even 200 accounts, that still is going to look good, because That was a long time ago. You add a new accounts every, so often, and you're building a big credit profile to be very, very strong. So if you try to apply for anything, you have no choice but to get approved. Only time you won't get approved is if you have too many hard inquiries. That's when you look thirsty. So adding more accounts is going to improve your credit score. So pay attention to that. Now, if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, all you got to do is just drop it in the comments. And like I said, I'm going to be answering questions. So what we're doing is focusing on adding accounts today, right? So in the next week, what you want to be doing is adding on positive accounts for the rest of the week, right? Adding Credit Strong, Sell, whatever, rent reporters, rent a car. Start getting those things first, add it to your credit profile, build that structure. Of course, I'm gonna be talking about how to remove negative items off your credit report. But as you're adding these positive accounts and removing, you're gonna see your credit score go up 50 points, 100 points, 200 points, 100, whatever. It's going to see your credit score increase by, because you're adding new accounts and you're removing old accounts, right? So pay attention to that. And if you have any questions, like I said, drop them in the comments. All right, I'll see you in the next class.